Conspiracy theorist as I am, I have an increasing interest in what's called the Cloward-Piven strategy. On first hearing, a person might think it's only a conspiracy, but in fact, it's completely real. To help me remember it, I call it the Cloward-Piven strategy, and you'll see why in a few minutes. The hellscape proposed by the Cloward-Piven strategy was the offering of two American sociologists, Richard Cloward and Francis Fox Piven, both professors at Columbia University. They came up with their dastardly scheme in 1966, at a time when the Democrat Party had the presidency and control of both houses of the US Congress. Their idea was a way deliberately to collapse a free nation from within, undermining and destroying the ability of independent people to continue to be so. Independent, that is. The ultimate goal was to ensure that every last citizen, other than the governing clique, of course, was left impoverished in the ruins of a system deliberately pushed beyond breaking point. I would say that the desire to take a working system, one empowering the aspirations of free people, and smash it to bits, could come only from a destructive and totalitarian mindset. But maybe that's just me. In a lengthy post on X last week, my friend and fellow podcaster Ivor Cummins made plain that he believes Mark Carney has in effect been implementing the Cloward-Piven strategy in real time, and that before our eyes in Canada, he's using his position as Prime Minister to see to the hellish flowering of the anti-human agenda in all its dreadful glory. Quote, "What is unfolding in Canada is not politics. It is not reform. It is a hostile takeover by global forces using one of the most sophisticated and destructive plans ever devised to collapse a free society from within." He continues, "Mark Carney was not elected, he was selected. His loyalty is not to the Canadian people, it is to the World Economic Forum, the United Nations, the Bank for International Settlements, and the other unelected global institutions that aim to erase national sovereignty and individual freedom." The Cloward-Piven strategy is predicated upon deliberately overloading and bankrupting the welfare system by driving and encouraging more and more people to seek to get more and more money from the system, knowing full well that such behaviour, quote, would produce bureaucratic disruption in welfare agencies and fiscal disruption in local and state governments. As Cummins wrote, during the COVID-19 lockdowns, Carney publicly supported massive government stimulus spending, including the Canada Emergency Response Benefit, which gave more than 8 million Canadians free money with no strings. This programme cost over 81 billion Canadian dollars. Carney, in a July 2020 speech to the London School of Economics, called these types of stimulus packages essential tools for transition. Transition to what? A person might ask. And praised the role of public finance in accelerating a shift to stakeholder capitalism. It's my opinion, and I have shared it before, that what the likes of Klaus Schwab of the World Economic Forum calls stakeholder capitalism is fascism by any other name. The removal of the decision-making from the people so that it can be handed to unelected bureaucrats, politicians, and the CEOs of transnational corporations. According to Cummins, the Canadian COVID-19 lockdowns were not about public health. Quote, "They were all about creating permanent dependency. The more individuals rely on government support, the more control the government has. Canada's debt has now reached more than $1.5 trillion. The system is being driven towards bankruptcy by design." End quote. It's by these means that a functioning system is deliberately and maliciously broken, and a country of free people making their own choices and decisions corrupted into one in which all must go cap in hand to the state for anything and everything. As well as driving more and more people into the arms of the state, the Cloward-Piven strategy engineers rising chaos. At the same time as increasing dependency on money provided by the state, The cost of living is hiked sky high until the point when even the middle classes are pushed beyond survival by their own efforts. Cummins pointed out how in February 2021, Carney co-authored a report for the Glasgow Financial Alliance for Net Zero, calling for the removal of capital from carbon-based industries and its redirection to climate-compliant investments. In this way, energy prices spiked, with the inevitable knock-on to the price of everything needed by consumers, including food. Quote, Canadians now face historic food inflation. Food banks across the country report record demand. Carney knows these policies crush the middle classes. That's the point. When individuals struggle to feed their families or fill their gas tanks, they stop resisting. End quote. It's happening to Canadians now, but the Cloward-Piven strategy is all around us in the West, in the UK included. Remember the furlough scheme that handed free money to people on PAYE and left the self-employed high and dry, noses pressed against the window from the outside? Part of the anti-human, anti-family, anti-nature agenda is the replacement of education with indoctrination. This has been going on for decades. Children are brainwashed to hate their nation's pasts, to despise and be ashamed of their culture, heritage. All around us is the insidious undermining of traditional family life and human values. The anti-human nature of it all reaches its peak with what I regard as the deliberately divisive diversity, equity and inclusivity, and worst of all, the pushing of the trans message. Blatant two-tier policing drives racial conflict. Posts on social media draw down longer prison sentences than the orchestrated rape of children. The divisions sown by such measures are no accident. In Canada, the Cloward-Piven strategy is running full force. Also being engineered is the elimination of private property via regulation, taxation and debt traps. Cummins wrote, quote, Carney supports net zero home compliance. In April 2023, the Canada Mortgage and Housing Corporation proposed mandatory energy audits for homes before sale. These audits will be used to justify carbon taxes on homeowners, making it impossible for many families to sell or afford upgrades. At the same time, interest rate hikes driven by central banks have doubled mortgage payments since early 2022. The result is mass foreclosure. This is not mismanagement. This is extraction. Close quote. Once the Cloward-Piven strategy has done its intended damage, when the mass of populations are desperate, having had everything taken from them, they will clamour for the state to intervene and to save them. And when the state steps in, freedom goes out the window. The solution offered to the financially broken will be universal basic income. Desperate people will accept whatever lets them put food on their tables and keep roofs over their heads, but their freedom will be gone. As I said at the top, I remember the name of this perversion of free society with the mnemonic of Coward-Piven. All we see around us now, all that's being rammed down our throats in the name of anti-human ideology is the deliberate destruction of all we have known and treasured in the West. It's being driven by a tiny clique that more than anything despises and, most importantly, fears people. Fears the likes of you and me, who just want to be left alone to get on with our lives and enjoy our families and the freedoms our predecessors fought and died to secure for us. They fear us because in the end they're cowards. They look around them, down on us from their high towers, and see people who want the chance to improve themselves and their lot. They see people who want tiny fractions of all that those technocrats and oligarchs have heaped around themselves, and the very thought and possibility terrifies them. The freedom of the people is anathema to the powerful clique making up rules as it goes along. It's the same clique so determined to advance to full kinetic war with Russia because money keeps them in power, and the best way to justify the creation of more funny money out of thin air is the prosecution of war. Any war. The rising discontent and anger and chaos you feel around you is real, and it's being whipped up precisely to have you panic. In that panicked state, you'll focus your fear and anxiety on whoever you can see around you and not on the clique pulling the strings from above. Along with universal basic income will come the CBDCs, central bank digital currencies, the programmable tokens, whose use is controlled 100% not by you, but by the banks overseeing every transaction in real time. Say the wrong thing, do the wrong thing. Seek to stray from your allotted 15-minute city and your tokens won't work. Behind all of this chaos and outrage lies the Cloward-Piven plan, officially the Cloward-Piven strategy. Canada's reality today is in all of our futures. It's all part of one dire ideology. It's about power. It's not about nations or people or nature thriving in a free world. It's about a tiny, cowardly clique moving heaven and earth to ensure they have everything and the rest of us have nothing. Remember always that these people are frightened. Their every action is driven by fear. We can use that